things that can actually guarantee that you will never manifest love. Hey guys, hope you're well. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about three things in particular that if you do, it is going to pretty much guarantee that you don't manifest love in your life. Now, three things before I start this video. The first thing is, in here, I'm not going to be talking about differences, which means two coaches, two people can have a different approach towards things, right? For example, someone can use the law of attraction, someone can use the law of assumption, someone can use affirmations. For someone, affirmations doesn't work. For example, in my last video, last to last video, I talked about how robotic affirmations is not my preferred method of manifesting, but that does not mean that robotic affirmations don't work. It might work for someone, and it has worked for me in different situations. So for me to say that, oh, if you do robotic affirmations that would guarantee that you won't get results, that's not something that I'm going to do. Here I'm going to be talking about things that are actually going to make sure that you're not going to get things in your life. That's one. Secondly, even if you do receive some results, my goal when I'm talking about results, my definition of results is you get something, it comes to you, it stays to you. For me, results is not you got something and it stayed for just a short amount of time. The third thing that is important is not just you getting results and staying. My definition of growth is you receive it and you have changed as a person towards it. It feels like a thing in your life that you don't have to chase anymore. It feels like you have evolved when it comes to this topic, right? So now we will talk about these three things. All of these three things are going to be helpful, and we need to actually understand that these will never just get you results. So open yourself up to this, because I know that for some people it can be triggering, but understand that this is not so that I can blame you. This is so that I can tell you that this won't work. So don't do it, because I want you to get results. So the first one is chasing or manipulation. Now let's understand a few things. First, when I say chasing, what does it actually mean? It means stalking, consistently texting a person, consistently looking at their social media, checking to see if they are online, regularly just seeing, oh, when is their last seen, constantly seeing their followers count and everything. Not only does this make sure that you don't get results, this is one thing that is actually harmful for your mental health. Because consistently doing so is just going to put you in a position where you will get obsessed with the idea of this. I have not met one person who has chased and is actually peaceful when it comes to this topic of their life. They can be peaceful in other areas, but when it comes to this topic of their life, I don't see people who are actually peaceful when it comes to this. And it is very important to understand that this is not because I don't want you to chase and I have something against chasing. It is because it doesn't work. I have seen myself do it. I have seen many people do it. Now, I will tell you the reason behind chasing. So, the reason behind we stalk, we do all these things. Two reasons. First, we do it because we feel a false sense of connection when we do it. So, if I'm stalking my specific person, a big part of me will feel that I'm in their lives, right? So, I know what is happening to them. So, somewhere it gives me this false sense of control. Makes me feel that if I know what is happening to them, somewhere I can control it, right? So I am sure that they are not dating someone else, or I'm sure that they are not out having too much fun. Whatever it is just a way for me to feel I'm a part of their lives and to feel this false sense of control towards them. But it eventually is a false sense of control. It doesn't actually mean anything other than me providing it this meaning. And this meaning is also me justifying one bad action for myself, right? Which I don't need to find a reason to. I don't need to find a reason for this bad action. I don't need to find a reason for this behavior. That's one. Second reason why chasing isn't helpful is because it constantly puts me into this identity of a chaser, which means on a regular basis I will do so not just in this area, but at some point it will transcend past in other areas of my life. And I don't want that identity. We don't want that our manifestations or the things that we are looking for or love in our life comes at the stake and at the expense of mental peace and mental health. We don't want that, and we don't want to promote that idea to ourselves, right? So that is why chasing isn't helpful. Manipulation isn't helpful. Manipulation being trying to convince someone of something. For example, if I am manifesting a girl and then we break up and then I try to convince her friend to take me back, right? That, oh, I tell her friend, oh, please tell her to take me back. You cannot manipulate someone into attraction, right? Neither did you in the first time. And if you did, that is a reason that it doesn't work. And the second thing is that when that one convincing decision wears off, eventually you will also get rid of the results. It's important to understand that manifestation, when Neville Goddard talks about you don't have to lift a finger, it doesn't actually mean that you will never take action. It just means you will never feel the need to manipulate. And that action, even if you will take it, will be a very different thing than trying to convince someone of something. If convincing someone of something worked, any person in this world would have gotten results. So it's not really something that actually works and would be something highly beneficial if you avoid. The second thing, settling for lesser. Now, in here, there are going to be two topics which I'm going to explain because there can be people in different situations. So don't get triggered by this. Listen to this, it will help. Coming to the fact of settling for lesser. If you are settling for lesser, I can pretty much tell you that eventually it's not going to turn into something serious. A big reason being, again, two reasons. First thing, whenever we settle for something, we are settling and teaching the world that this is how we are supposed to be treated. So basically, we are telling the world that, you know what, I don't think I am important enough to take care and stand up for my wants and face my fears, but I'm expecting you to do so. Feels unrealistic, right? Because it doesn't really make sense. So I cannot expect to treat myself in this way and expect the world to treat me differently. And it's very important to understand that this is one of the biggest thing that I have seen in clients. And any person who has ever gotten results through my coaching has gotten rid of settlement, because the perspective turns from what can I do to get results to even if I never get results in my life, I will never settle when it comes to these things. Because settling is not something that we have to do, and settling is not something that we should ever get into. The second reason why settling doesn't work is that in our minds, we are constantly creating the image of the person, of our relationships, that we are a settler in relationships. So we have automatically set the bar so low for ourselves that eventually when this person does commit or does show up in some extra way than what they are right now, we celebrate and pedestalize it, and that celebration and pedestalization of that only puts us down. So it doesn't really help. Again, avoiding settling is very, very important. Now, there are different situations when it comes to settling, so let's understand those. If you are someone who likes the thing that you are getting involved into but looks like settlement, then you don't have to settle. And you don't have to, because that is not settling for you. I will explain it through the help of an example. I know it got slightly complicated. Let's say there is this guy and let's call him Ken. Let's say Ken is manifesting this girl Mia. So while manifesting Mia, Ken is wanting a relationship, but Mia comes and says that, you know, Ken, I would love to be in a friends with benefit situation with you. Now here, it's Ken's choice, and the whole thing of what settling means here will depend on Ken. Now, if Ken gets involved in this situation just because he feels that if I don't get involved in a physical situation with her, she will never give me the full commitment, that is him settling because he wants something different, and he's settling because he is maybe not sure of himself, or maybe he has a fear of letting go, or maybe he is afraid to put up a boundary. That's one when he's settling. But if Ken is someone who says that, oh, you know what, getting together with this person right now is just going to make it more attractive for me and more easier for me to believe that this person will commit to me, then definitely do so. The issue starts when people are actually in the first position where they don't want to settle, but they are doing so out of fear, but they tell themselves that they are the second one, that no, I will stay in this person's life so that it can give me more. And that's where lying to yourself starts, and that's where we start to convince ourselves for settling when the other person isn't even convincing us to. And this also goes into the point where we start convincing ourselves that someone else's poor behavior towards us is because of us, when it is because we are allowing it. So instead of thinking, how did I create this, a better perspective would be, what part of me is okay with allowing this? What part of me is actually making this person feel that this kind of behavior is something I can allow? And letting go of that and creating a boundary. That will actually make sure that you do get results in some way, shape, or form in your life when it comes to this topic. So diversify it, specialize it for yourself, clear it up for yourself. Because even in the last video I made about how you should you forgive your specific person or not, people hear what they want to hear. And this is, I'm not telling you, like, I'm not blaming you guys. I just want you to understand so that you can help yourself. Allow yourself to listen to advice without taking it too personally, because not everything is applicable to you. And if it is not applicable to you, listen to it, see what is actually helping you and what is according to your situation, and move forward. Because I got some comments on that video, people saying that, you know, Does that mean that manifesting a specific person isn't possible? Does that mean manifesting a specific person is a waste of time? That's not what I said at all in that video. I talked about how it should be an informed decision and you should consider these things if you are going after manifesting it, right? But in that moment, if we want to hear that from a different perspective, that's what we will do. So avoid that and actually be open to advice and consider this possibly good in a good way for yourself so that you can actually get benefits from this. The last one, constantly jumping and changing techniques. Now, this one is very common, and this one, there is a reason why it makes sure that you don't get results, because you have to understand that any technique that you will do, there will be 2-3 aspects involved to it. At some point that technique will get boring. At some point you will have resistance towards that technique. At some point you will feel some stagnancy towards it, maybe in terms of how you're doing the technique or the results that you're getting from it. The issue starts when we start feeling those things and we jump to a different technique. A technique is a means to an end, which means the purpose of a technique is to create the version of you who doesn't feel the need to do anything to get relationships in the first place. So that if, for example, I'm saying that I'm in a happy committed relationship, or I am loved, like whatever it is, like I'm blessed in love, I am fully loved, I am loved and pursued. Let's say my affirmation is I'm blessed in love, right? The purpose of the technique is to actually make me feel I'm blessed in love so that it becomes my default setting. So that the next time I think about this topic, my default perspective towards this, of course, I'm blessed in love. Hence, I think about these things this way, right? It's not to get something. The technique changes me, I get the results, right? So if the technique is not changing you, there can be a few reasons. One can be the technique is not for you. The second can be you are just not sticking to it long enough and you're giving up every time resistance comes. And the third one is because we are not aligning our actions with the technique. So this is something I talked about in my one of my previous videos, where I talk about what to do if like how I manifest using affirmations. I will link it down below, you can check it out. But just understanding these things would be really helpful, because a technique is not just magically going to bring results. It's going to change you, and once you change, that is what gets results. So use the technique as a means to an end so that it can apply and make you a different person. The person who doesn't feel the need to do any manifestation techniques to get this, and even if they do the techniques, it feels like celebratory statements. So let's say I'm affirming, then affirmation, that affirmation feels like a celebratory statement that of course I got this. Like it's a different perspective rather than mentally begging that, oh, if I do this, will I get this? There is a difference between the two. So start applying this mindset. Stop doing these 3 things. It will absolutely help, and then it can make sure that you do get results. So I will see you guys in the next video, and please take care.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe and share if you liked the video. The link for my one-on-one coaching, my self-help courses, and my free newsletter are in the description box below.